The primary election is over. It's off to the general election. We'll be interviewing a lot of candidates on this program, starting today with Republican candidate for Sheriff Dan Charleston.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
What's the matter, distressed homebuyer?
I've been trying forever to buy a home, and I'm having a terrible time. I wish I knew where to go for help.
Well, I'm Joe Henry, licensed realtor, and I'm here to save the day and help you buy your home. I've been helping people buy homes in central Iowa for over 10 years. I've even got a full-size truck to help you move.
My hero. Thank goodness I found you. Make Agent Joe Henry your homebuyer hero, too. Visit agentjoehenry.com. That's agentjoehenry.com.
If your computer's not running up to speed, don't waste any time with 1-800 numbers. Call your local professional at Mid-Iowa Computers. Known for excellent customer service, they can help you with all your computer needs, including 100% electronic malware removal. If you've just had enough of your computer or other electronic device, bring it in to Mid-Iowa Computers and they'll recycle it for free. For more information, visit midiowacomputers.com or call 515-210-8536 and get your computer fixed by someone you can trust.
I'm a burrito.
I'm a fighting burrito, full of fresh ingredients prepared before your very eyes.
I don't have eyes.
I have over 28 options and 268 million combinations, including Rizo for vegetarians.
I can take my meat off and call myself vegetarian.
Put that back on. The Fighting Burrito is locally owned right here in Ames.
I'm owned by some big corporation somewhere. Say, you want to go on a date?
No thanks. I'm seeing a quesadilla.
The Fighting Burrito in their new location at 117 Welch Avenue by Iowa State. Online fightingburrito.com. Join the fight.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, good afternoon. Welcome to the Fallon Forum. Broadcasting live here from the Webcast One studio in downtown Des Moines in the Skywalk. Not a lot of traffic in the Skywalk today across from Palmer's Deli. Can't blame you. It's a beautiful day out there in central Iowa. So if you're in the Skywalk, get out of here. Go enjoy the weather. And if you're watching the show on the Fallon Forum website, thank you. You're welcome to call in and join the conversation. It's 244-0077. Or toll free, if there's anybody out there who still incurs long-distance charges, 855-244-0077. We've got a heck of a week lining up for you here. The big burning issue in my mind that I talked about a lot with friends this week and mulled over myself is, why does the Tea Party movement seem to be thriving while the Occupy movement seems to be stagnating? It's not going anywhere. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Tea Party movement has evolved from protest to raw political engagement. And the Occupy movement seems to be afraid of politics. You may disagree, you may agree, but it'll be an interesting conversation, and I hope to get some of the Tea Party voices involved in that conversation, along with some of my friends from the Occupy movement. Also, Jonathan Narcissus is going to join us tomorrow. Jonathan and I go way back, but we haven't talked in a while. So, why sit around a cup of coffee and just talk, the two of us, when we can, have at it and duke it out here in front of you. So that'll be interesting. I have no idea what we'll talk about. Always something to dig into with Jonathan. And Dan Kelly will, of course, join us on Thursdays. Wednesday, Andy Fleming with Brother Trucker will be on the program with me. I love Andy's band, love what he's doing culturally in Des Moines, and that'll be good to have him with us. And Friday, I hope to launch a new feature. Don't have a name for it yet, but I think it's important that we start talking more about what Iowa farmers are doing with food, fuel, fiber, and the essential products of wine and beer. So we got a lot of stuff going on our farms in Iowa that doesn't hit the, it's not the corn, beans, hogs, and cattle stuff, but it's important, and I want to start talking about that. But Today, again, we're going to be doing a lot of conversations with candidates for office because there's a lot of folks running. This is an election year in a big way, and the first to kick it off here is Dan Charleston. Dan is a Republican candidate for county sheriff, and you are a sergeant on staff right now at the Polk County Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
And this is your day off.
It's my day off. And here we are on the Ed Fallon Show.
Thank you. And you came under you got some heat lately. Rekha Basu wrote a column that was pretty scathing. And I don't know, we don't have to. I really do want to focus on the issues. I'm always concerned when too much attention gets put on personal attacks. But if there's something to them, then there will be a conversation. Well, actually, even if there's not something to them, there often will be a conversation about them. So, is there anything you want to say in response to that column at this time?
I'll respect the fact that we had a closed hearing on an incident that happened, and it was sealed, and we went through the whole process. And I'll respect the fact that we're not supposed to be talking about it because it's a sealed case. And
what about the comments that Rekha raised regarding the situation in California with the materially false evidence? It seems very complicated.
The thing you need to understand in law enforcement is whenever you join an agency, just like the military, or lateral to another agency, your entire release of liability, your entire file is released to the oncoming chief or sheriff that you're trying to work with. Once that happens, then they make the decision whether or not anything in your personnel file is worthy of them noticing or not. The bottom line is I've been doing this for almost 23 years, so there's a lot of allegations out there. That doesn't mean they're true. So
did Rekha talk with you in preparation for the story, or what?
No, she did not.
Did she try?
She got a hold of me on Facebook, and I said that I would love to talk to her, but evidently it wasn't in time for the article.
So why not a response to the Registered Editorial Board in writing, an opinion piece?
I just don't want to put much merit to it because, frankly, I don't think that it warrants that.
See, strategically, for what if there's any value in me giving you advice, when I ran for governor, there was one county I won 8 counties. One county I thought I should have won was Johnson County, and one thing I failed to do is I ignored a whisper campaign against me. Mike Bluen was working hard to win Johnson County, and he did, which is kind of bizarre that the most conservative Democrat would win the most liberal county. But he put out whisper campaigns about me being anti-labor, about me being anti-women, which was bizarre, about me being anti-gay, which is even more bizarre. And I said, this is so ridiculous, I'm going to ignore it. So, if these concerns really are problematic and there's something you don't want to talk about, that's one thing. But I think if you have a decent response, I think it's a good idea to say, okay, here's my story.
Right. We've done a little bit on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and the amount that I believe that needs to be talked about is on there.
Yeah.
But as far as putting that stuff on my website, you get falsely accused in law enforcement every day. And you have a process called the civil service hearing, and then you have a process to go through that, and then they deem whether or not the accusations are true.
Yeah.
All the way from letter of counseling to firing in law enforcement. So every issue's been dealt with, and I'm still doing this job.
Yeah.
And I was hired by the longest standing sheriff in Polk County history.
That would have been Bob Rice. Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have no doubt. I suspect that this is going to continue to be brought up.
Sure.
Because the your political opponents and the media and the public tend to love these kind of scandals.
Sure.
How many times did Leonard Boswell, of course, washing his hands by having it all go through a separate pack, accuse me of being a pal of the sex offenders.
Yeah, that's just not true. Right, exactly.
Yeah, so it will come up, and we don't need to dwell on it too much here today, but yeah, it will come up, and I encourage you to deal with it head on.
People can feel free to chat with any law enforcement official in the county or firemen that know me that do my job every day and do it alongside with me, and they'll tell you a different side of what you saw in that article.
What's Bill McCarthy going to say?
Bill McCarthy's not too motivated about me running for sheriff, so he's probably not going to be very positive.
Well, he probably is motivated, but motivated to defeat you, right?
Exactly.
And by the way, folks, I do hope to have Sheriff McCarthy on this program as well. So
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. All right. There's a lot of things to talk about. I look at your website, Dan, and there's things I agree with, there's things I don't. Let me start with a question about the constitutional carry. Okay. So this is the term that describes unrestricted carrying of firearms, and I know Second Amendment types say that we need to allow that. To me, it goes too far. What would you want to see done differently in Polk County on that issue if you were sheriff?
Well, the new law is a step in the right direction to be trained by an NRA certified instructor, get a copy of that certificate and bring it in and pay the $55 for a 5-year permit. If you're in the military, you get a copy of your DD-214 and you show. That's a step in the right direction towards constitutional carry.
And just so people know, what was it before?
Well, it basically was up to the locally elected sheriff whether or not you were getting a gun permit or not.
And why is that a bad idea? I mean, we always talk about the importance of letting local communities have local authority. And yet when it comes to a gun issue in this case, the legislature decided to preempt that local authority with a state mandate.
Well, I'm one of them guys that believes that if it's a constitutional issue, it should be directly right according to the Constitution.
So,
period. But
doesn't the Constitution allow gun rights for every white male American who owns property to the extent of one single-shot muzzleloader? Isn't that really what the Constitution was talking about when it talked about, the right to bear arms?
I don't believe that, but
I mean, did the framers of the Constitution ever envision an AK-47?
No, they didn't. But the average...
What would they have said about that?
The average American that's a law-abiding citizen owns several different firearms, and I think the statistic was that I put on my Facebook a short time ago. There was 86 million people, law-abiding citizens, that killed nobody yesterday. The thug, okay. The thug likes to kill people, but my whole point is why cannot a law-abiding citizen that's not a felon protect himself, his family, and his friends?
Okay, but talk to Gabrielle Giffords about that.
Right.
That was I wouldn't call him a thug, but it was a mentally deranged person who had easy access to whatever guns he needed to do the horrific crime he committed.
Right.
And there's a lot of people like that
you're never going to stop that. But here's something different.
But isn't a local law enforcement official more likely to say, "Hey, whack job, we're not going to give you a gun"?
Well, I can tell you somebody right now that you think is mentally stable, and when he goes through a divorce or a financial bankruptcy or loses his job, he might snap instantly, and you'll never figure that out. So the point is why should you take a constitutional right away from the law-abiding citizen to protect himself in that Gabby Gifford line when they were interviewing her? If more people there, law-abiding citizens, would have carried a weapon, he wouldn't have got the carnage that he did. That's what
so you're saying that if more people at that rally had guns, they would have blown him away before he blew away Giffords and friends?
It's like that in subway.
Oh, that scares me, Dan.
Well, the bottom line...
I mean, that sounds like vigilantism.
No, the bottom line is you have a right, according to the Constitution, to protect yourself.
Okay.
And if you're standing in that line or in a mall or in a church or a school that's a soft target, and you can actually defend yourself by having a firearm, when somebody comes into that soft target issue in that venue itself and they go to massacre a bunch of people, chances are if there was more people, law-abiding citizens, that had firearms to protect themselves, that guy wouldn't get the carnage that they get in these schools and churches, etc.
My preference would be to empower my local sheriff to make decisions about when it's appropriate to issue a concealed weapon permit and when it's not.
Well, that's
so
fine.
We disagree.
That's fine.
All right, but let's go to our phone lines. 244-0077, 244-0077. If you want to email me, it's fallonforum@gmail.com. My guest today is Dan Charleston, Republican candidate for Polk County Sheriff. Let's go to Frank from Des Moines.
Hey, Ed.
Hello, Frank.
I wanted to ask your guest, I don't know if he touched on it, what's he feel about the stand your ground? And I kind of believe this Trayvon Martin thing. I mean, there's people shot all over this country every day, and nobody makes a big stink about it. Nobody has a hoodie march. 49 people was murdered on the south side of Chicago on St. Valentine's Day. Nobody had a hoodie march. I think they're trying to use this Trayvon Martin issue as a scapegoat. Both sides, the sides that are for stand your ground is jumping all over it. The sides that are against stand your ground is jumping all over it. And I think it's kind of been brought into a nationwide issue. What's your guess think?
Well, I believe in stand your ground legislation. I don't think that constitutionally a citizen should be any different than we as a police officer. If you feel your life's at danger or you're in grave of serious bodily injury and or death, I believe that if you have a weapon, you have a right to defend yourself.
In all circumstances? I mean that the Trayvon Martin situation, yeah, I know you can make quips about the hoodie, Frank, but the kid was not doing anything dangerous.
Well,
there hasn't been a trial yet, so let's hold off judgment on that. But
well, yes, but
you need, Ed, do you know how many women, in particular, has been shot on their doorstep, holding their restraining order in their hand, their no contact order in their hand? I mean, if somebody intends on killing somebody, they're going to do it before the police get there.
Yeah, my concern is and let's give Dan a chance to answer this a little bit, and I do want to move. We got a lot to talk about today, but so yeah, Dan, Frank, thanks for the call, and Dan,
thank you.
Dan, stand your ground. I think what would you want to see done differently here in Polk County?
Well, it sounds like Frank and I agree on that. I believe a citizen has a right to protect themselves. Obviously not over land ownership like in some states, but the bottom line is if you fear serious injury and or death, you should have a right to protect yourself. No different than we as police officers.
So what if you fear serious injury or death, but your judgment is really, really wrong?
Well, then you'll be held accountable for that civilly and criminally. So
Okay.
it's no different than us. If I see a guy come at me with a makeshift wood gun and I shoot him, I better be able to articulate why I thought at 3 o'clock in the morning that looked like a firearm. It's no different than a citizen.
Or 3 in the afternoon.
Or 3 in the afternoon. And
this sounds like it's going to create a tremendous opportunity for lawyers to make lots of money on cases that are going to be confusing and destructive in a lot of ways to lots of people. I mean, I look at this Trayvon Martin case, and again, I would agree there's been some excessive hype on it, perhaps, but Zimmerman does not seem to be justified in that response.
Well, based on the evidence of what we see, and until it goes to a jury trial, I'm not going to comment. I have my own thoughts, but I'm not going to do it. I know due process and law enforcement, and that's why we have our jury system, and I'm going to trust that system will work its way out.
Sometimes it works.
It's still the best in the world, so I'll stay by it.
All right. And there's a lot of things I want to cover here today. And folks, you're welcome to jump into any criminal justice related issue. There are things we disagree with, Dan, but I know there's stuff that we have in common too. I want to kind of bounce back and forth to keep it moving here. But restorative justice. When I was a state lawmaker, I voted against so many different bills that seemed to me to be going in the wrong direction. Building a new prison, increasing penalties for certain crimes, creating new crimes, all without doing anything to assure adequate treatment in prisons or to provide adequate opportunities, alternatives, where citizens could, who may have committed a crime, would have an opportunity to move, into a less expensive treatment placement. What's your take on what we sometimes call restorative justice?
I'm all for it. It's on my website, charlestonforsheriff.com. I have a SWAP program on there, Sheriff's Work Alternative Program, so for minimal amount of crimes occurred and somebody that wants to credit a day of working for a day in the jail, that to me is not a risk to the community. They could get out and better 235, for example, with a weed eater or picking up trash or something like that to earn something that they've taken away back from society. So you and I aren't paying $60 a day for the average guy that sits in the jail, and you and I end up paying for his stay there because he's not working to earn it back.
How many people currently in the Polk County Jail?
There's usually about 1,000. There's still another West Wing that's available for 500 more inmates.
How many are currently being diverted into alternative placements?
Very minimal. I don't know the number, but it's not.
Well, what is the potential eventually?
It's huge because you can stay incarcerated in a county jail for up to 1 year before you go to state prison. You can get a guy that's been popped for his first OWI that says does 30 days in county jail.
For his first OWI?
Well, it depends. I mean, you can, for a nickel bag of weed, you can get put in there for 6 months or five days. You just don't know. But to me, we need to take a guy like that and look at them, or a gal like that, and look if they're interested in first a volunteer program like that to do something as a work program. If they're interested and they're not a threat to society, well, then let's take them out and let them do something. Beautify the parks, beautify 235.
I'm not sure you can beautify 235.
Well, for $250 million, I think we need to do something with the vegetation.
$500 million.
Well,
that's over $500 million for that.
It was a lot of money.
I
I personally can't tell where the weeds and the vegetation start. So I think an inmate can go out there and help us out.
They start where the trash begins, and they cover it up so you can't see it. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean that's I'd like to talk more about that, and I do want to get your take on the distinction when it comes to restorative justice between yourself and the current Polk County Sheriff. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, Sergeant Dan Charleston with me today on the Fallon Forum, Republican candidate for Polk County Sheriff. We'll be back in a few minutes here on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
With warm weather finally here, it's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Community CPA is the 15th largest CPA firm in Iowa, providing audit, tax, and accounting services. Community CPA specializes in international tax treaty and double taxation avoidance among countries and states. 9 dedicated, experienced, hardworking staff are the company's foundation, and their compassion towards every client is the secret behind Community CPA's success. At Community CPA, you can expect quality service year-round. Call 288-3188. Community CPA, 3816 Ingersoll. Experience the difference.
Wow, some wedding.
Yeah, I've never seen a bride in coveralls.
Right, and skipping down the aisle to accordion music.
Not to mention the reception. That wedding cake was a freaking fruitcake.
It's your wedding. Don't leave anything to chance. Diana's Wedding Cakes. Using only the finest, freshest ingredients with free on-time delivery and setup. Choose one of Diana's custom designs or create your own. Call Diana's Wedding Cakes, 641-275-9279. That's 641-275-9279.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Fallon Forum. I want to thank Physicians for Social Responsibility and the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club for helping to sponsor this program. Also want to thank some of our local businesses like Joe Henry. Joe's a local realtor, and if you've got a home to sell or buy, you should give him a call. Joe has been working for a long time here in central Iowa. Prior to being a realtor, he drove a UPS truck for, I think, 18 years. So a nice perk that comes along with choosing Joe Henry as your realtor is he drives a moving van. You put all your stuff in his truck, he drives it to where you need to go. Not a bad deal. Thank you, Joe, for, again, your support for this show and for a lot of good causes in our local community. Also want to thank Mid-Iowa Computers, our latest sponsor. Mid-Iowa Computers, of course, they'll help you with whatever computer issue you need, sales, repairs, questions about what direction to take your system, and also you need to recycle your computer. Mid-Iowa Computers is the place to go for that as well. So thanks to all the local businesses, organizations, and individuals who help make this show possible, and that includes you. You should go to my website, folks, fallonforum.com. I got a button on there. You know the routine. Support. Click on that and do your part to keep the alternative options available on the airwaves here in central Iowa. Back to our conversation with Dan Charleston. Dan is the Republican candidate for sheriff. We're talking about a lot of things relevant to criminal justice. We're hitting on an area that I think we have some common ground on. I've always been concerned that the philosophy of state government specifically, but government in general, has been to lock them up and throw away the key. That's not only horribly expensive to the taxpayers, it's very ineffective. It doesn't do anything to reduce the crime rate. The recidivism rate, the rate of people returning to prison, remains very high. And so when I hear talk about restorative justice, and I see that on your website, I like that. And you know, I do know there are those who will tell me that Polk County is doing a pretty good job on that front. But you think it could be doing a lot more, and as sheriff, you would do a lot more.
Yes. There's about 10,000 people nationally that are retiring every day. And a lot of them can be asked to come into a jail or correctional style facility and mentor the old with the young and male and female, etc. There's a lot of volunteers from local churches in your community that already do volunteer. I believe there's about 30, 35 in our jail system. I'd like to triple that right off the bat.
So some are concerned that when they hear that, they think, okay, this is a conversion program, a way to try to get in and save souls and bring them into the flock of a particular denomination.
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. There's guys, obviously, and gals that are in jail because they make bad choices. So there's choices, classes that you can teach to teach somebody life skills, to teach somebody a job skill, to teach somebody a leadership skill, to teach somebody how to balance a checkbook. The bottom line is to make sure that it doesn't reoccur again. And so we're not in the money-making business in corrections at the county jail level. We're actually trying to change some hearts and minds and keep people from returning to the jail.
Okay. So what would you do differently? You mentioned before trying to divert more people. Any more specifics you could feed us?
There's a lot of different ideas. The NA program, Narcotics Anonymous, the GED program, the AA program that's currently in the jail. It works for some, but for most, they need a little more than that. What that is a lot of times those are times for inmates to go visit other inmates, and they've taken these programs 20 times before. So what we're currently doing here in the 5th Judicial is not working, in my opinion, nor is it amongst the staff at the jail working. Mm-hmm. So we're not here to correct an inmate for every bad mistake they've made, but I think we need to do something positive while they're in. I like the concept of teen challenge, frankly. I think
what's Teen Challenge?
It's an 18-month program out in Colfax. It's 05 to about 10 o'clock at night. They just teach everybody life skills. They teach them the different topics that I've just told you, job skills, etc. And it seems like it's a longer program for accountability, so somebody doesn't just say, yeah, I can go do this drug treatment program for a week standing on my head. And it's just
so it's not religiously based.
Well, no, there's some are and some aren't. But I mean, I'm not in here to change everybody's heart and mind. But the bottom line is what currently we're doing is not working.
And so you mentioned again having more churches do more volunteer activity,
right?
In the Polk County Jail,
right,
with the inmates. But what if a Muslim mosque? What if leaders from a mosque wanted to be involved?
If they wanted to come in and teach a young man or a young woman about making better life choices, then that's what it's all about. We're not here to make it a religion thing. We're here to make it a choice thing and turn people's lives around because of the choices they made and the behavior they made to get in there to begin with.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that because there are some on the political right who malign all Muslims, and I think would discriminate against. They want to see the churches as actively involved as possible in policy. They would discriminate against a faith they didn't agree with.
Right.
But you wouldn't do that.
You know, I'm angling it at the leadership that they're not doing, their choices that they did not make, the fact that a lot of them were raised without parents, and this is how you are a man, this is how you are a woman. And literally teach these individuals some stuff that they obviously didn't get taught from their mom and dad or grandpa and grandma, because a lot of them are from single homes and never knew their grandfather or grandmother or their mom or dad.
On the fiscal side, have you thought at all about how much money might be saved by, optimally, diverting as many inmates as possible to community-based corrections, the restorative justice alternatives?
I don't have an issue with that. I think it's disheartening that currently in this state, when a juvenile does something, that we often slap their hand and this kid gets 4 and 5 chances, and then as soon as he turns 18, we're locking somebody up for 6 months for a nickel bag of weed.
How much might we save eventually?
How much money do we save?
Yeah.
I think it'll be considerable, but as far as the dollar amount, I have no idea.
Okay. So can we switch gears?
Sure.
Okay. Immigration. That's been a hot item. Obviously, a lot of us feel it's a federal issue, but there have been plenty of local law enforcement officials that are trying to make it a local issue as well. And I do see it's prominently placed on your website, far more prominently than I would think a county sheriff candidate would want to place a federal issue. But tell me your take on immigration and why it's so prominent in your
It stems back to your oath of office that you take, whether you're in the military, you're a federal ATF or U.S. Marshal, or whether you're a local municipality police officer or a county sheriff. You have a right to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, the mentality here is...
So immigrants are enemies?
Well, no, okay, but I think...
That's implied in that.
No, I think we have to guard this United States that many people fought hard for from people entering in it. Now, do I believe that we need to secure our borders?
That's kind of a siege mentality. Most people entering the U.S., students, tourists, even most immigrants, they're here for a honorable purpose. Even if you could argue that illegal immigrants are, in some cases, taking jobs that might go to legal American citizens, but they're not coming here to terrorize us. They're fleeing poverty, destruction, war, and economic, abandonment in their own country.
So when you see these drive-by shootings because of narcotics from the cartel that's currently running into California, Arizona, and now Iowa, it's not here for a student visa. These guys are shooting each other up over narcotics.
And we had that happen in Polk County?
Absolutely, yes. In Waterloo and Cedar Rapids. If you look in the last couple of months, we've had about 8 different shootings, okay?
Wait, in Polk County?
In Polk County.
We've had 8 shootings that are Mexican drug cartel related?
Well, if you go back to the illegal status of some of them and the fact that they're shooting over narcotics and gang participation, et cetera, in our community, yes, that's happening. I recognize it being from California because I obviously worked in L.A. County Sheriff's where there's a gang problem that's huge.
Can you give me a specific example?
No, I can't, because a lot of them happen in the city of Des Moines. Are you talking about which case and what's the name is?
So you said there were 8 cases where there was drug cartel-related violence in Des Moines, in Polk County in the last month?
In the last couple of months, and it's also happening in Cedar Rapids and Waterloo. So if you get underneath some of the bridges locally in Des Moines and look at some of the Sur Trece, some of the cartel Sur Trece, it's a big gang here in Mexico as well as California, etc. If you read some of the tagging that's going on, it's here. That's the bottom line that you need to understand. So people, and it wasn't the community that I was raised in, but obviously it's here. And if we don't take a proactive role in law enforcement with it, then it'll get out of control. Because there are jobs here, and if law enforcement doesn't go out and hit these guys hard with a gang suppression team or something, you know, a gang enforcement team is what we had in Los Angeles, and that's what I want to do here.
It sounds like an escalation of the war on drugs, with a particular target being in this case, illegal immigrants who are here to sell drugs or somehow. It
doesn't have to be just illegal immigrants that are Latino. That's not an issue. It can be anybody. But the bottom line is, if you're here illegally and you're going out and shooting people up, and until we have somebody that takes a bullet through a door and hits a kid in a cradle, everybody acts like it doesn't go on. Well, it's going on.
I mean, I'd love to see the specifics you're referring to. I mean, you said in the last couple of months that's happened 8 times.
Yes.
Has it been in the news?
Well, probably not.
Why not?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
They want everybody.
That seems that's the sort of thing the news loves to talk about.
Right.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Do you think
if it's an immigrant bleeding, it's even better in terms of news stories? I mean,
do you think this local community deserves to know when there's drive-by shootings, etc.?
Sure, of course.
Do you think that the news media is always good about putting it on? Absolutely not.
I think they tend to like those stories because they're easy to market,
right?
And because it's a lower element in the human psyche, but people tend to gravitate toward that kind of thing,
right?
So I would be surprised if they didn't take every opportunity possible to showcase a violent crime, a drug-related crime, a drive-by shooting. And again, if it brings in the immigration issue, yeah, all the better. I mean, I'm not saying I like that. I'm just saying that's what happens. So if you're saying there's 8 instances of this in the past 2 months, and can't tell me can't point to one specific, I'm surprised.
No, there's different jurisdictions.
I'm buying it.
No, it's different jurisdictions that it happens in within the metro. Most of them have been within Des Moines PD's jurisdiction. If you call them and get statistics on exactly what these shootings were about and the date and time they happen, they would give them to you. So I can't sit there and tell you which date they happen, you know.
But you're sure? I mean, again, these have not been in the press.
Well, I don't know if they have been or not. You just don't hear much about them.
But you're sure they're related to Mexican drug cartel activity?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that they are. And if you talk to law enforcement, that's a fact. But the point is if you have to take a proactive approach on this. If you don't, it will encompass your community and people will get hurt over it. And if they realize that nobody's touching it for law enforcement, they will come by the droves and they'll take over a community. I saw it in Los Angeles day in and day out. And it's happening in Chicago, it's happening in St. Louis and Kansas City. And we don't want Des Moines, Iowa, that we all grew up in, to turn into that.
But when you say taking a proactive stand on this, that sounds to me like an escalation of the drug war.
There's a code in the Iowa Code that talks about criminal gang participation. That's actually a code that's a violation, okay? Or terrorism is another one. When you physically terrorize somebody or shoot at somebody's house, or you are a known gang member from your monikers that's on you, or your Facebook status shows that you are, and you're throwing signs, etc., and they can prove that you are, then you get charged with criminal gang participation. So what we need to do is we need to take a proactive role on this, and when these kids get popped for that, they need to understand that, you know what, you're not welcome in Des Moines. You're not gonna shoot up our community and shoot at each other where innocent people may or may not get hit. It's not going to happen.
Okay. How serious a problem is this likely to become? I mean, is it Ciudad Juarez? I'm not quite sure I have the name of the town just across the border, right? Ciudad Juarez, maybe?
Juarez?
Yeah, where you have incredible, gang violence and brutal stuff, beheadings, garish murders, and sometimes people involved with drug activity, but a lot of times just innocent citizens, people who are trying to, blow the whistle on this stuff, journalists, activists. You have an incredible, concentration of violence in that town. And I've been told, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I've been told that right across the border in the U.S., we don't have that problem.
I haven't heard that.
You think we do have that problem?
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is here, until somebody gets hurt other than a gang member or other than somebody that society considers, oh, he's just a thug, until an innocent person gets hit by one of these stray bullets, everybody's turning a blind eye to it and says it can't happen in Des Moines. It's happening in Des Moines. If you talk to a local law enforcement, the detention officers in the jail, it's happening.
Let me ask you a related question. Again, the effort in Arizona was to basically instruct local law enforcement to act as an extension of federal immigration officials.
287G.
Right. And in Iowa City, we have a different proposal that the police chief there supports, and that is that local law enforcement will not act as an arm of the federal government, that it will not, pursue and detain people who, in some cases, might be suspected of being immigrants, illegal immigrants. Where do you stand in that paradigm? Are you closer to Arizona or Iowa City?
You still have to have probable cause for a traffic stop. You're not out profiling. We have no intention on doing that. If you pull somebody over and that person cannot provide an ID and you believe they're in the country illegally, obviously they're going to get booked in the jail as a John Doe or a Jane Doe, and then you're going to start the process of seeing if they're here illegally in the country by calling ICE. The 287G, all that does is you take a 4-week course through ICE, and that basically certifies you to start the deportation paperwork process. That's all it does.
But doesn't it dump a difficult financial burden on local taxpayers to expect local law enforcement to have anything to do with that realm of law?
Well, I don't think that as a local law enforcement officer that it's just up to the feds. You took the same oath of office as a federal agent as you did in the military, as you did as a local county sheriff, and I think you need to honor that oath of office. I don't think you should be saying, well, you know what, since they're not sealing the border and they come over into our community, I'm just going to turn a blind eye. That's not factual or constitutional at all. I don't believe that.
We got to go to a short break here, folks, but Dan Charleston is my guest. He's a sergeant with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. He's running against his boss. How bold is that? Anyway, he's a candidate on the ballot in November. He won the Republican primary against an outstanding field of no one else, right? Somehow you managed to figure out a way to get a primary without an opponent. Hey, he's good. So we're talking about issues relevant to criminal justice. You are welcome to join the dialogue at 244-0077. We'll be back in a few minutes on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of WebcastOneLive.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait, howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
What's the matter, distressed homebuyer?
I've been trying forever to buy a home, and I'm having a terrible time. I wish I knew where to go for help.
Well, I'm Joe Henry, licensed realtor, and I'm here to save the day and help you buy your home. I've been helping people buy homes in central Iowa for over 10 years. I've even got a full-size truck to help you move.
My hero. Thank goodness I found you. Make Agent Joe Henry your home buyer hero too. Visit agentjoehenry.com. That's agentjoehenry.com. Lucalin's Italian Grill in Ames offers one of Central Iowa's finest dining experiences. Lucalin's blends traditional Italian cuisine with American intuition, enticing hungry stomachs with a delectable spread of homemade pastas, steaks, and freshly flown-in seafood. Try the Cajun pasta, handmade lasagna, or any of Lucalin's traditional Italian dishes. So for a dining treat that's second to none, visit Lucalin's Italian Grill on Main Street in Ames.
If your computer's not running up to speed, don't waste any time with 1-800 numbers. Call your local professional at Mid-Iowa Computers. Known for excellent customer service, they can help you with all your computer needs, including 100% electronic malware removal. If you've just had enough of your computer or other electronic device, bring it in to Mid-Iowa Computers and they'll recycle it for free. For more information, visit midiowacomputers.com or call 515-210-8536 and get your computer fixed by someone you can trust.
Open Sesame is Des Moines' premier Lebanese cafe. This month, Open Sesame is offering an unbeatable lunch special on Monday and Tuesdays. Mention the Fallon Forum when you order anything on Open Sesame's delicious lunch menu and get the second item for half price. That's right, buy one, get one for half price. Open Sesame's pita wraps, salads, soup, and mouth-watering Mideastern specialties will have you and your dining partner coming back again and again. Open Sesame at 313 East Locust Street in Des Moines' historic East Village.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Fallon Forum. Dan Charleston, my guest here. Jonathan Narcis joining me tomorrow. That should be fun. Jonathan and I, not having talked for a long time, we'll have a lot of catching up to do. And there's plenty of interesting news stories to dig into, including some of the education stuff that's been front and center last couple of weeks here in Polk County. Talking about a range of issues, I do want to get into the mental health issue and issues affecting some of our military personnel who come back and in certain cases end up in our prison system, what we're doing about that. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least touch on the traffic camera issue. Not something I've spent a lot of time on. Not something, to be honest with you, I care much about, but it does seem to get a lot of, there's a lot of folks who are interested in it, riled up about it. And I think it'd be good to tell people where you stand on the all-important traffic camera issue.
Well, I've got about 15 issues on the website, and there's getting ready to be a couple more. One's titled Cops and Kids, and one titled Mental Health. But by far, when you go speak and you're in parades, the top two issues are definitely illegal immigration and cameras. So the camera issue, the current sheriff would like to put 2 to 3 mobile cameras out in the county and cite people for that, similar to what's going on 235 with the city of Des Moines, and I think Windsor Heights is trying to get them.
I think Windsor Heights, I think their plan is to raise their entire city budget from traffic cameras.
Well, I think they have said in a forum that I was at that there's an 0.8 of a mile area on 235 that's the most dangerous in their community, so they want to put cameras out there.
Sure they do.
I am totally against them, as most cops are. I think they're unconstitutional. My main thing is I believe you have a right to face your accuser, and you're not getting that when a guy's taking a picture of you, and the next time you hear about it, you're going to court. So.
Well, I mean, are most police opposed to cameras because it takes away jobs?
No, that's not it at all. Your bread and butter in law enforcement is your traffic stop. You have to have probable cause for that traffic stop. When you come up there, it's partly to educate the public. It's also This went from a no registration to 100 pounds of weed in the back, with money, obviously, that's going to get off the streets from hurting our families, etc.
But if traffic cameras are catching the speeders, there's a lot less opportunity to stop people. I mean, cities are going to start cutting police forces because they got the cameras doing the work now. So I mean, I would think if I was a police officer, I'd be concerned about my job as these cameras proliferate.
In over 22 years of law enforcement, I've never seen anybody lose their job as a police officer, unless they've obviously done something wrong. But the issue on the speed thing, if the engineers deem that speed limit on that road is this for a reason, then it's obviously a safety reason for that. If we allow citizens to go 11 over before we give them a ticket, obviously it's not a safety issue because they're allowing you to go 11 over. So the safety issue doesn't bug with me either. I believe constitutionally you have a right to face your accuser. There's some agencies around here that are the police officers sitting in the office downloading the video, and some agencies it's actually going into their retirement fund. That's totally unethical. I don't believe in that at all.
So great. People should lobby their city council, or in this case the board of supervisors, to not use those cameras. And yet there are some who want to take that to the state level and want the state to override local authority. That's the part that gets me. I mean, again, I don't have a great concern about traffic cameras because I very, very rarely get to the point on my bicycle where I can actually break the speed limit. I do once in a while, and that's really cool when it happens. But
coasting behind a bobtail truck, I've seen Ed do it before.
No, I try not to get too close to those. But the have you really seen me do that?
No, I've seen it done many times.
Somebody else is doing that. So. But we always talk about local control. People, we believe in states' rights. We believe in cities having the authority to do this. Local school districts having the authority to decide the curriculum. But yet, when it comes to certain issues, Republicans seem to be really quick to say, "Hey, we're going to intervene and say you can't do this." The conceal and carry issue was one we talked about earlier, and this is another one, where you want the state to come in and say to Windsor Heights, nope, sorry, you can't do traffic cameras.
To me, if it's a constitutional issue, I think that's the way it should be. If you want to own a business that puts a sign up that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, that's not a constitutional issue. You have a right to do that.
I mean, you could spin anything as a constitutional issue.
Well, but it's not. But the bottom line is, if the same guy has no firearms in your store, and you choose to come in with a firearm, constitutionally he can carry that. So why would you override that? See, that's my whole point about the cameras. So if it's so popular, then why don't we put it to vote of the people?
So local people should have the authority to decide you can't go into a store without a shirt and shoes on, but it's okay to carry a gun.
Well, my point is
presumably.
My point is if it's a constitutional issue, the state or the city should not be able to override the Constitution, period. Okay.
So
it's really simple.
You walk into the store, you don't got any shoes on, you don't got a shirt on, but you got a gun tucked into your belt.
Well, that's...
with your flabby little belly hanging over that gun. All right, I got a visual on that
Most of them are lean and mean that carry in anyway.
Okay, all right. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about mental health. That's an issue that you're concerned about in our jail population. Tell me more.
Well, with what's been going on overseas in the military, a lot of returning veterans are having mental health issues because you come back to a broken family, a bankruptcy, or not being able to get a job, or not having control anymore, and they're doing a lot. There are a lot of them that are taking their own lives. It's really concerning to me. The other thing about veterans is when I'm the sheriff and they want to test for local law enforcement, they will go at the top of the list for returning them to a service that they give in the military, and they'll be able to give that in law enforcement. But the mental health issue, we just now got a second deputy transferred to the day shift. It's huge. We're taking bodies all over the state for mental health hearings. Broad lawns is through the roof. We've got the issue in the jail, so we definitely have to put more manpower to it and take a proactive role to it because it's not going away.
So what percentage of the inmates in Polk County have mental health issues and are also returning veterans from Iraq or Afghanistan?
I have no idea that statistic.
But it's significant enough where you want to make that an issue in this campaign.
Sure. I work with the 2 mental health deputies on a daily basis, Monday through Friday on days, and I back them up on several mental health issues. And the amount of signatures that it takes to get somebody help is 2. So the family members are going in and they're filling out affidavits. Hey, this guy returned home.
When you say get them help, you mean get them committed?
Committed, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're literally saying, hey, this kid, my son, since he's been home, has done nothing but drink himself to oblivion every night. Or he's using narcotics now since he's returned because he doesn't feel like anybody understands. He can't get a job. And then that gets it to the sheriff's office role. Then we are allowed to serve that court-ordered paperwork, and then we're seeing that and we're talking to individuals. And it's definitely a huge issue that needs some help.
And so is there something you're proposing that's currently not being done by the current sheriff?
I'll definitely put more bodies in the particular field of mental health. I'll have its own separate unit, like I would an interdiction unit, like I would a GET team, a gang enforcement team, an OWI team, and I'll have a mental health unit team.
What will that cost?
I have no idea. But the bottom,
somebody will ask you.
The bottom line is when something is court ordered,
right,
then we're going to do it anyway. And right now we currently have 4 deputies running the entire county. Yeah. And we're asked oftentimes to deal with mental health issues all the time during the day. And if those mental health deputies are busy or it's after 4 o'clock, the mental health court orders don't stop. We still get them through the VA, etc. Relevant
to this topic, but admittedly a bit far afield from your particular responsibility, potentially as Polk County Sheriff, there was some information came out last week that in the first 155 days of this calendar year, there had been 154 suicides among U.S. troops in Afghanistan, which was almost twice the number of American casualties killed in combat. So twice as many people committing suicide, nearly 1 per day. I mean, what does this tell you about the war? What would you like to see happen on the conflict in Afghanistan?
Well, I won't comment about that, but I know that when returning veterans, because it has nothing to do with the sheriff's race.
You get to be Polk County Sheriff, and then 4 years from now you run for Congress.
Right.
And so basically, you know, that became a platform for you to, and so people want to know, even if it's not a particular.
Well, I served my country for four years in the military, and I understand exactly what the mental health issues are, and I understand exactly what a soldier goes through. Now, the bottom line is when I was in, you obeyed your commander-in-chief according to the Constitution, whether you agreed or didn't agree.
But are you among the 71% of Americans who feel the war should end, or are you among the 29% who? That's not good math. Well, actually, it's okay. Are you among the 29% who feel it should be continued?
I think we need to be winding it down and getting the troops home.
All right.
Personally.
All right. So you, me, Ron Paul, Dennis Kucinich, all on the same page on that one.
There's more people than us 4, trust me.
Oh, I know there is, like the vast majority of Americans. But again, you point to a very important problem, one of many problems, and that's, I mean, another problem is we're spending $750 million a day on this war. But yeah, we're bringing a lot of people home, a lot of, mostly young men and some young women who they're not readjusting well. It's been a horrific experience. I mean, if they aren't one of the statistics that kill themselves in Afghanistan when they come back, there's a chance they're going to have. There's a higher chance they're going to have mental health and other issues that we need to deal with.
I'm going to do everything in my power to employ as many of these outstanding veterans that I can, and the ones that need help that are in our system, I'm going to give them every opportunity to gain the help they need.
Dan, I thank you for taking the time to join us on the program today. Dan Charleston is my guest, folks. He is the Republican candidate for Polk County Sheriff. This fall, the general election, early November. Don't know the date yet, but I'll bet you do.
November 6th.
November 6th. Okay. Well, hey, good luck, and hope to have Bill McCarthy on this program at some time. We'll try to feature a lot of the folks running for office here locally. And again, folks, you're always welcome to call in and join the conversation. You can go to my website if you want to comment. We hope to have a podcast up and running later today. And I'll be back tomorrow with Jonathan Narcis joining us. Thank you again for tuning in to the Fallon Forum.